Okay, I'm gonna try this again. Hopefully this time I won't be interrupted by leaf blowers and screaming children. Right, alright, so replacing the fuel sending unit on a 2002 Humvee M1025A2 with the tank with the X's on the bottom. First thing you got to do is you're going to need a screwdriver. Remove this plate right here. 8mm. This 5 bolts sending unit comes right out. However, you want to make sure you clean around the area first so none of the dirt falls into your tank. Check your wires. This one just so happens to be a little damaged. It's a little cracked. At a later date, I'm going to have to possibly replace it. Right now, I don't have a replacement boot, so it's going to have to wait. This is my new sending unit. I picked it up from Black Dog Customs. Original piece. It's a quick drop-in. I look down inside the tank, make sure there's no obstructions, no dirt. Looks relatively clean down there. Let's see if I can give you guys a view. A little foggy, but you can see down there that there's a little bit of dirt, but I'm not taking the tank down to clean it today. There's a little hole at the bottom of this sending unit that allows it to fill. And there's another one there that allows it to drain, or vice versa. And then there's another one all the way at the top. Let's see if you guys can see it there. Right there. That one's for air. You don't want your fuel to go all the way up there. That's like to the neck, which I'm sure some of us have done. We filled our tanks to the neck before. So after you've cleaned it, removed it, go ahead. I prepped a new one by putting the gasket and all the nuts and washers, all the bolts and washers in first to hold the gasket in place. You want to, there's two sides to a washer, not many people know. If you're doing lock washer, flat washer, there's a smooth side and then a rough uncut side of a washer. The uncut side of a washer goes down, pointing to the surface that the washer is going to touch. The smooth side goes up toward the lock washer. I'll pull it out here and show you actually, since it might be a little hard to understand what I'm saying. So there's a smooth side, which is this side, and then there's the rough uncut side. The rough uncut side down, and then the smooth side up, and then the lock washer touches the smooth side, and then you slide it through. Not a lot of people know about that. I learned that years ago. So, anyways, let's see what this says here. U.S. military only. Look at that. That's nice. I'm gonna slide this baby down on in. The direction of which it went is not specific. So I'm gonna go ahead. Some of us, you may choose to or may not choose to, depending on the condition of your bolts. I'm taking this tank back out at some point, so I'll be back in here. You can put anti-seize on these so they don't give you an issue in the future. But I know I'm going to be back in here relatively soon. So I'm going to avoid it right now. I'm just going to start these by hand. always start these by hand. They're very fine thread, and if you fuck it up, you're gonna ruin your day. I mean, big time. You're gonna really fucking hate yourself. So, and it doesn't hurt doing it by hand. We're not in all the way here. In there. I'm gonna push it down sometimes. It's just starting the threads. If it's sitting crooked, you know, like this, one's gonna be higher than the other, so you gotta kind of make sure it's the same like when you do a wheel. You want to do a star pattern. So it goes down equally. This one actually catching, or we're not? Let's see. Well, it doesn't seem like this one's catching on me here. Ah, that's because we're off. Okay, so that's it. It's official. I discovered that there is a pattern to this. Like I said, this was my first time doing this, so this particular sending unit has a pattern. Okay, so now we got to figure out our pattern here. Okay. Right, so now that we figured, so that means not only does the holes have a pattern, but the same goes for the gasket then. See, my other sanding unit on my race car didn't have that, so never assume. As I just did. Okay, so let's see. Put this back in the box. Let's see which way we go here. Nope. Oh, this is gonna be fun, because oh no. Ooh, that's close. I would say that's it right there. Yeah, that's it for the gasket. So my gasket has a notch on it. You see the notch up top here, and that my holes line up like that. This one's a little off, but you got to understand it's gonna move over a little bit too. So let's see. Okay. I'm gonna take all my bolts back out now. Right. What I'm gonna do, you know, the funny thing is that even though there's actually light coming through the tank from underneath, so I'm gonna stick this in here and turn it till my holes line up, and then I'll know what my pattern is. Nope. got 2 holes. Nope. This is, what's that? What do we got there? 1, 2, 2. Maybe that's it. That's close, but still, that's a little. I think that's as close as we're gonna get. Okay, so it looks like, okay, that notch goes right where this little screw is on that gasket notch goes where that screw is. Whoop. The sending unit now has to drain because I stuck it in the tank. Okay. Okay, look, lining up a little bit better here. There's actually 3 of those screws up top here. So just line up your holes. Gasket to sending unit, and gasket to tank. Neighbor's back with his leaf blower. Okay. That looks like it right there. Okay, I think that's it. We're gonna know, thread that one in by hand. Did it catch? Yes, it did. And this one, remember, go in a star pattern. And we are all catching all the way around. We did it. Nice. Perfect. Now, like I said before, I'm going to be in here again because I'm going to take this tank down and clean the inside. And I want to clean the actual body of the truck because it has a ton of sand caked all around the underneath of it. Just caked, I mean, big time. So I'm just gonna slowly thread this in. I'm gonna use my flashlight to see if we're seated, and we are. And we're down. That's it. You don't need to go crazy tight. Don't go fucking to town on it. It doesn't need to be like that. I'm going to dry my residual fluid area around here. If you go to town on it, you can split the housing, crack it. You have to be very careful. So a star pattern, dink, 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 whichever way. Line up your holes. Now it's time to plug it in and see if it worked. Okay, now is the tricky part. I'm not too familiar with whether or not this is directional. I know a lot about wiring, but I'd rather put wire for wire than just guess on which direction they go. So I think the best way to do that, if I had a razor blade, but I don't, me just see if I can kind of follow this. Yeah, this one's all messed up here. This is probably my problem right here, in all honesty. And this is why my sending unit isn't actually functioning, is because this wire is damaged. Which is... I don't have a problem replacing the sending unit, because I'd rather... repairing these wires, because the way they are is... the correct way is very difficult, because you have to get the plugs, the wire is not like regular wire. There's a lot of sheathing around it. I've already tried splicing into one of these on one of my old trucks, and I was like, and that's how I discovered that this wire on this truck was not like any other wiring on any other vehicle. It's far, far different. So it actually clipped in. So it was clipped to the terminal in there. So maybe that's not my issue. There's generally little tags on here with numbers on each wire throughout the whole truck. It kind of tells you where wires go. That I do know, but there's not a tag on this end. So let's see. This one says 58J. Oh, wait a second. Is that a 2? Yeah, that's a 58J, and this one's 28B. I'll just show you how they're all labeled. See, 28, and then this one says 58J. Kind of. Now I gotta figure out which wire's which here. And there's nothing on these new ones. So what I'm gonna have to do here is follow this. The only way to do that is to splice this back. The problem is, I don't have a razor blade to cut it. Right? Let me make sure there's a razor blade in here. There might be one in the back. Let me see if I can figure this one out here. Okay. So that one's up top. But even then, so... So how I'm going to differentiate the two of these right now, wow, I can't speak, is this one had the tape around it and has the dirt, and this one doesn't. And so this one went there, and this one was the clean one. I'm going to unplug these really quick. Oh wow, that one's really freaking... Is that corroded? Yeah, it's got some dirt in there. Okay. Wow, it's petrified. It is stiff as a board. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now I got them laying flat. And I can feel through here that they're not crossing over each other and spun. So, spin this way. The one on the right is the one with the tape. The one on the left is without. Okay. So, this one is the one with the tape. This one goes here. And this one is the one without. There we go. Beautiful. Now I have to come back in here not only to drop the tank and to clean it, but to fix this wire. Because it's no longer protecting like it's supposed to. It got damaged at some point. So now I'm going to just turn my ignition and see if my gauge works. Let's go see. Moment of truth here. Hey, look at that! We fixed it. It used to read full. Now it reads a little less than 3/4. We did a thing. Nice. Perfect. Now what I left out before was how I diagnosed it. My gauge went to full sweep when anytime I filled it, all the time. And anytime I got close to empty, I could hear the fluid in the tank sloshing around. And then sometimes the gauge would bounce between all the way empty and all the way full. So I knew that the gauge itself was functioning and that the gauge wasn't grounded out. Had the gauge not been functioning, it generally wouldn't move at all. Or if it was grounded out, it would be pinned one way and stay one way, depending on which way the gauge is designed to work. Sometimes each gauge is different. So usually when the gauge is grounded out, it's pinned all the way to full. And mine wasn't. And anytime it got close to empty, it would go all the way to empty or all the way to full. So that's how I knew my gauge itself worked. Sorry to repeat myself, but then I was like, well, the only other thing is the sending unit. So we replaced it, and it works now. And now I can actually drive around and not worry about running out of diesel. However, I do always recommend carrying a couple of jerry cans in the back. Not only does it look cool, but it's smart. You never want to get stuck and have to have someone come out and bring you gas, or even in worst case scenario, get towed, because tow truck companies, because Humvee, bang you over the head. So that's my first video on how to do a sending unit replacement on a M1025 A2. This tank specifically is the one with the X's underneath. And I hope you enjoyed, and sorry for it being raw footage, but that's kind of how I like it to be, short and to the point. All right, everybody, thanks, take care, and see you next time we do another repair.